Good afternoon, my friends out there. Today I'm going to be doing some quick stripping of the remains of 3 sad looking Corvettes that I have left out here in the field of broken dreams, as I call it. So these actually 2 of these are 84s, one is an 85 that have been Corvettes, unfortunately, that managed to fall by the wayside long ago. So don't shoot the messenger. I did not destroy these cars. They were destroyed when I procured them. Of course, you can make the case that anybody would put this kind of mirror on a Corvette probably shouldn't have had it in the first place. But anyway, this car actually was a complete car when I acquired it, and pulled things off of it as I needed to, but it was, man, rough when I got it. So it wasn't like it was a cream puff. And then we're going to take care of that car. We're going to take care of this other lowly 84 over here that needs to be finished dissected. This one had a nice little, just an aside for you guys, don't ever bypass your fan blower mower or fan blower module relay, because what you'll get is a burned up Corvette, which is what happened to this one. This was actually a fairly nice car, burned in the front pretty hard. So this is pretty bad shape. Both of these cars are going to get cut in half, is what we're going to do with them, so that I can continue to process the front end of the goodies. And then showed you guys this other one over here the other day, I believe, when I was tearing down the C5. We're going to go ahead and finish deconstructing our 85 over here. That was an over-the-roof flood car that I pulled some goodies out of, but I've still got some more here to take off. So same thing today. What I'm going to focus primarily on is pulling the door assemblies off of these. Now, ask any parts purveyor and they'll tell you the doors are the bane of their existence. And so that you can see, as I've got things piled up here, this is just a small sampling of doors that I have. Thing is, doors don't move that quickly. If you've got a car that's got a damaged door, unless you backed it into a pole or backed another car into it and damaged it with the hinges, usually those cars get totaled. So you always end up with more doors than you need as a parts guy. But anyway, today in this video, what I'm going to focus on is pulling the doors off of all these cars. So that's 6 doors. And I think a few months back I made a video on removal of the doors on the C5s. Those are relatively easy. These are not bad. Same kind of setup here. You've got 3 bolts here, 3 bolts on the bottom hinge, and you've got another one there. It holds that wiring loom harness inside there, so you got to unbolt that. But it's pretty quick and easy, 11mm, 7mm. And then the only difference with these doors here is that the bulkhead connectors, like on a C5, are actually, you can separate them. This harness, as it goes through the door, is one piece all the way through the entire dashboard. So it all has to come out with the dash harness. So for ease of operation, we just cut it. Of course, I'm gonna take a cursory look in here first to make sure there's not any poisonous snakes in here. They're probably, I think there's one back there where that water is right there, because I saw him the other day. But he'll probably not mess with me. Most of the time the snakes, they don't want none of your action, and I leave them alone most of the time. So let me get set up. I'm gonna pull that door off of there. So that's actually still a usable door. So I'll be right back with you guys. Give me just a few minutes. Okay, moving along to our second car over here. We're gonna start work on our doors here. Didn't really go through all of that here, because I got a lot of background noise and such. Even in the country, you get lots of background noise. So I'm gonna pull these 2 doors off. Hopefully my Mr. Hawk will come back out again and walk around or fly around and look for some mice and rats like he was doing a second ago. That was kind of cool. And we'll be back here in a second to show you. Again, basics here are 3 bolts up top, 1 7mm in the middle, and 3 bolts on the bottom. So and of course, the way these bolts are positioned behind that door, you've got to get a universal swivel in there to get to those back 2 bolts. So pull these off here for you real quick, and we'll show you what our finished product looks like. Hang tight. Okay, sorry about that last segment. Realized I was in sport mode, so camera settings were a little bit different. That's what you get for using your phone. But real quick, there's that one door off, lickety split, and I'll show you real quick. Again, these aren't as easy as the C5 doors to take off, but they're not terribly bad, really. That's interesting. So, literally what you're doing, of course I make my life easier. So we'll take that 7mm right there hiding in front of us. Take that off of there. Now you can take this support bracket off if you want to, but it's not required to get that out of the way if you're going to be taking these. And I can't believe I'm trying to hold the camera with my left hand, but let's see if I can make this a little bit better. Let's see if I can move my position. There we go. So like I said, so you want to start at the bottom, make your life easier. You get this in here, and let's see if I can do this one-handed, because with the universal joint this might make it difficult. Yeah, it might make it difficult. So as much as I wanted to show you what I was going to be doing here, let's see. That's what I get for claiming that was easy, but universal joint is the one thing that makes it more tough. So we'll get in there, get that one off of there. There's two. This one's just a straight shot. There's three. I actually like to save those bolts because they're specific door hinge bolts. And where am I at? There's four. Here is number 5. Get that one out of the way, and then you'll see once I pull this one out, the door will basically just fall to the side, and there it comes off. Now, no fuss, no muss. Now the good thing is, because I don't have a way to disconnect those bulkheads, it's still kind of vaguely being held in place by those harnesses. So I'm going to take my cutters and just go ahead and cut. For our purposes here, this is just what we're going to do. Now, if you're doing a deep restoration, you'll probably want to disassemble the door first, wire and harness wise, to get everything out of there. But for my purposes, it won't be necessary. And there's another good door right there. So, and those are heavy. Those are heavier than C5 doors. So they seem to have got, you know, again, I go back to some of the build characteristics, especially these 84 to 96s, man. These cars are built like tanks, man. They're really strong. I'm surprised they only weigh 3,300 pounds, frankly, with all the steel that's in them. But even this whole, that center section is all steel. That bulkhead is steel. This floor plate that's gone already because I cut it out is all steel. There's a lot of steel in this car. So I'm gonna finish up that third one. I'll show you what it looks like. And probably what I'll start doing, I'll cut this one first. We're gonna cut it, boom, across the middle, across that floorboard, that other rail, and then we'll separate this whole back clips. All right, my friends, back at it today, continuing with our cutting of the C4 chassis at the mortuary here, the Corvette mortuary, to dispose of these 3 Corvette chassis, this one being our flood car. So we got the doors off in my previous installments here at this episode. Today what I'm going to work on is starting to get our cuts. Now, essentially all I'm going to do today is cut these cars in half. What I'm starting with though is this outside rail here on these C4s. This is a really strong rail on the C4s, pretty heavily reinforced. So I'm going to get that. And the other trick is, since I'm not going to be able to get these seats out of here like I want to, I'm going to go ahead and cut in front of the seats, because you can see there the floorboard on the Corvette C4s at least is fiberglass in the front. So I'm going to take care of it that way. And I'm going to jam up all this stuff out of the center console here in a second. And I'll probably make another video, because somebody asked about removing the DIC center out of these. Of course, that's got a lot of grass growing through it, so we'll get that out of the way. But yeah, so I'll get to that in a minute. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to use the heavy-duty Sawzall today, so I won't be able to one-hand this one. So let me go ahead and get this cut out of here real quick, and I'll be right back with you guys to show you what our finished product looks like once we make the cut. I'll be right back. All right, looking at it, guys, I'm back. You can see I've made my cut through that rail all the way to the bottom there, and of course through this side rail, and I accidentally cut my harness, which I did not mean to do. And then through the floorboard and back up again to the side of our transmission tunnel. Now I'm gonna cut across the side top of this tunnel. Normally I would take these pieces out, but they're so roached I'm not gonna bother today. And again, like I was showing you, this is just fiberglass floor, so this will make pretty quick work of this. We're gonna cut through that, get to that other side, and then once I get to the other side, I'll just cut through and separate the front half of the car from the back half. So I'll be back in a second once I make some of these final cuts. All right, first Corvette cut in half, ready to go. So as you can see, what I was talking about here with this rail, it's a really neat design they did here. We've got this S-shape curve for strengthening, and that's an actual inner rail. Now, interesting trivia bit about these Corvette C4 unibodies is these are all individual pieces welded together, spot welded, to make a really strong frame assembly unibody for this car. Because up until '82, Corvettes were still just a perimeter body on top of frame car. So you can see where they went and strengthened the car quite a bit. That's why you'll hear guys talk about C4s are built like tanks. They're really, really strong. Of course, here's what's left over the motor, and here's the way you flip a Corvette without actually having to drive it. So just your stupid humor for the afternoon. So there's what's left of our dash. I'll probably pull a few things out of there, that steering column and that wiring. Some of that wiring will come out there. But again, you can see the underside of that S-shaped curve, and you can see how this is put together. It's a really strong piece of metal, and that goes all the way around. Then the fiberglass pieces, see all the spot welds there? The fiberglass pieces are just welded, or I'm sorry, not welded, but glued to this steel unibody here. So there's your individual, there's another individual piece there, but very strong frame. I'm gonna get started on the second car, and we'll cut through that one real quick, and then I'll get the third one done, and we'll wrap all this harvesting of dead Corvettes up for the day. I'll be right back. All right, working on our third cut here for the day. You can see we got that rail cut through, and I already had the floorboard cut out in this one. This one's a good opportunity for me to show you guys how in these 84s, they try around 84, 85. Actually, I stand corrected all the way through the C4s. What they did was you still had a fiberglass inner structure here, firewall, tunnel, and then right as soon as you made the transition to where the seats were, you went to a metal structure here, and you can see where the fiberglass overlaps the metal, and that metal is tied in right back here on this junction where it sits against this bulkhead. So everything around the driver's compartment is steel. Everything here is all steel, right? And then you make that transition here halfway where the seat track starts. You can kind of see right there. That's where the bolts for the seat track go in. That would be where the metal starts and the stops and the fiberglass starts. So just kind of an interesting trivia piece on these. I'm gonna see if my Sawzall has enough juice left to cut that one other side, and that's gonna wrap it up for me today, at least as far as cutting. And then tomorrow I'm gonna tie this all into one video. More than likely I'm gonna come back and cut that third Corvette up that's hanging off the back of the trailer so we can process all these. So give me a minute to get set up. I'm gonna finish cutting this one up, and then I'll be back with some more details on our third and final car. See you in a minute. All right, guys, we're back to our final day of cutting on these last remaining field cars that I'm going to be disposing of. So as you can see here, this one, we've got those external rails cut on this white car, the Burn 84, and we're going to go and cut through that floorboard. I'll probably save that for last. I'm going to go ahead and start the hard cuts on this other 84 over here. it's equally sad looking. Now that I've stripped the doors off of this, I can get to that side rail there, get this thing cut apart. And again, just if you're not aware, these cars here had been sitting unfortunately for a long time, so there was no way to salvage them, as often happens with a lot of what I'm seeing are these newer, or at least newer, I say, 84 and up computer controlled cars, where they just get a little more complex. So I'm going to get set up here. We're going to make this cut through the frame rail here, across the floorboard, in through that center section, and finish cutting this one in half too. This one actually still has a really good complete engine assembly in here, so I'll save that, put that to the side for all the good 84 only odds and ends on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and make our cut here, and I'll be back with you guys in a second to show you how we finish up with these. I'll be right back. All right, finished up with our cut here on this other poor 84 Corvette. Another lamb to the slaughter, and you can kind of see once I get through these, just as an example to show you the strength and rigidity in these side rails and how much of the car they actually support. Let me show you something interesting. See if I can show you on camera here. As I push down, the entire car just about splits in half once I do that. So the only thing holding it together at this point is that fiberglass I haven't cut through the center tunnel. Of course, this piece of carpet over here. So just an interesting thing to show you how the perimeter section of this is built really like a house, the foundation of a house would be, or a pier and beam. You know, I don't know, there's a lot of ways to describe it, but the unibody structure is a really strong way to build a car. So that's why I affectionately refer to these C4s as the tanks, because they're quite strong. You really only get seriously hurt unless you're in a high-speed accident. So I'm going to go ahead and go back over to our white one over here, and I'm going to finish cutting that one apart, and I'll show you that one once I separate everything. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, now we've got our white car separated in the half here like I wanted to, and of course we've created a god-it's awful mess back here after I pulled all the junk out of it that's going to be thrown away, and of course the fuel tank and the impact bar. Interestingly enough, all these years this has been sitting out here. Let's see if this is still readable. Yeah, look at that. Now this is, for the guys that don't know, this is a build sheet. Now again, think about it, this is a 36-year-old build sheet, and it's still in really good shape. So there's my spider there. Hello, Mr. Spider. I think you're dead. Sorry. Okay, so we've got basic information, charge to Omaha zone, and a Due T Chevrolet Company, Lincoln, Nebraska. Huh. And this car came off the assembly line. How early of a car was this? It was a later car. This is a 23705 VIN. This one was equipped with power door locks, 6-way passenger seat, buckets, full leather, basically standard stuff. Let's see, what else did this thing have? Not a Z51 car. White on white with the carmine interior. They didn't call it red, they called it carmine. But this is interesting, so I will just save this just for fun to keep in the records. Bowling Green, Kentucky. I always think it's cool when I find these on the cars still, especially when they've been sitting as long as they have. So what I'm going to do now, guys, just to finish processing this, so this isn't such a big hunk of metal that I have to take over to the scrap. I am going to pull a few little items like that coming off of there. Maybe that, I don't know, I got a ton of those. We'll see. Pulled the trim off of here already, so I'm just going to cut this baby right here on the A-pillar at the base on either side, and I'm going to cut it right down the middle in half and finish getting rid of it. So I'm going to get started on that, get finished up, and then that's probably going to wrap us up for the day, because the rest of what I've got to do is just repetitive on the other black car and that burgundy car we've been working on too. So hang tight and I'll let you see what this looks like once I cut it. I'll be right back. All right, and there, my friends, is our last little bit of processing as we finish carving this bad boy up. You can see here where I cut through the A-pillars on either side, and of course our center transmission tunnel. So I forgot, of course, the parking brake cable still underneath there, so I'm gonna have to grab that in a minute. But that is our final step in processing our once fine Corvettes into their new life as a toaster or an aluminum water can, water cup, not cup, what are they, water bottles. Yeah, these new aluminum water bottles or whatever they're using. It's popular now. So, and of course it's 90 something degrees outside, so I'm gonna go sit in the shade for a minute, drink some water, and that's gonna wrap up this video. This one went on a little bit longer than I thought it would, but figured I'd give you a quick, well, a somewhat quick rundown of what this is like in the field, tearing these apart. And interestingly enough, as I roam through the back of this Corvette, even then it's like picking the turkey clean after your Thanksgiving dinner. There actually was quite a few good little odds and ends left in this car. Probably, I'm losing something here. There's a seat belt. Something else that was good and I lost it. Probably close to about $150 worth of retail price on some of this stuff. These are always interesting. People seem to lose these a lot. They actually had a coat hanger in them. So anyway, good stuff there. You know, just some fun for the day. So I'm gonna log off for today, guys. I appreciate you if you stuck with me all the way to the end. I figure this is probably gonna be one of my more epic videos, and I'll catch up with you next time with another one of the projects from the down in the weeds salvage. I'll see you guys then. Thanks.